Do we just click on the Zoom button to sign in?
Let's say connect.
Yeah, my own shadows.
Did you say what? Did you have like backups or anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, like the motherboard crashed. So like I have all my hard drives and stuff, but I just haven't had a chance to pull anything off of it. Yeah. Like I knew it was about to crash, and like I heard it was like on a flash drive and like transferred over my game project, and it took an hour. So yeah.
Did you get it like this thing? Did you get your game project like this thing?
Yeah, it's just like what happened. I looked at it like, well, do you want us to connect audio? And my finger just happened to like super hot. I might just like benchmark this to like 90 Celsius. And like I'm not like CPU chips aren't no. So I'm not taking apart my laptop. This is not the first time I'm taking it apart. And yeah, like I think it was too late for like no matter what I do. I'm not saying that. I don't know that. So I mean I had it since like 2013. So I left. So my I don't have one, but yeah, it's supposed to work when you're eating. They had another one that was newer. It's got a lot of thicker, but it had like a thin side. But they wanted too much. Yeah, pretty much. Because it was like only like the one in my press room was like an i5, and like the biggest I could get was C6 solid state. But this one's a i7 engine, and it's got like it's got a G6 solid state as well, but it's PCIe. Yeah, so I'm kind of upgrading that though. I don't think I'm going to work much with 16. Although it's got a Thunderbird port, so I might just do but that's I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Well, what's crazy is Best Buy wanted like a 950 kilohertz, and I got this like new graphics. I don't have to reach that.
And they price match?
I see. I took it there because I knew that, and they told me that they couldn't price match it because it was sold by somebody else on Amazon. They said it has to be sold by Amazon.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to go. I think they just told me that you lose like $200. You're good. Your name's Mike. Okay. I'm guessing you checked. Yeah. Well, no, it was already pulled up. She's like her.
Mine is mine is I go overboard on everything. I do. Inside this, I learned I was watching a tutorial and it's like 20 videos and how to defense, and that was the base of it, but then I really did. It's a lot different. I'm not sure. I use it one time to do project.
My challenge for myself was to begin using just the UI.
Okay.
The objects.
I got
all the UI.
Nice.
It's just
yeah.
It's pretty great. So I really wanted to get. I was gonna go kind of overboard just on my tic-tac-toe. It's like I wanted to reset, and like I was gonna hold my tiles like flip. You know what I mean? That was going to be an active background. But apparently Unity used to have some like natural support for GIFs. That's what I was going to use. But I had to like, apparently if you want to use a GIF, now you have to like do like a GIF that's sprite conversion part of the launch. And I didn't have time to do that right now. So you can use a GIF as a background.
You can animate, like, I've worked with practice rules of animation, like, but what they are, just put like a little animation, like, on stuff to the room, then the text is just video, like, you delete the text as part of it. And that was like,
yeah, I was going to do that. So I was going to have all my tiles, like, after the game was over, naturally restart. I was going to have everything like a wave.
Yeah.
My tiles just flipping over.
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But like I said, I didn't really have time. So.
The animation on it.
Oh yeah,
It's, you know, it's true.
I watched the short video. It was really nice. Just about making them all down.
Yeah, my cursor is on my main screen and my butt kind of wait.
Okay, if you guys would go ahead and join the Zoom session, and we're going to try to present over the Zoom session today. The reason being, I was thinking it would be kind of neat to invite maybe some outside people to our next presentation where you guys will be doing your group projects, so that we can have some outside input, see what they have to say.
Get some of our guys that have had some experience looking at things for you. I want to show you a couple of things before we get started. I'll try to make it really quick because we don't have a super much time. This is our what we have left
list. So at the top are different choices for our last game option as far as what we'll be working on as our project development for the last part of the semester. I have a Google form set up as a survey with those options, so I'll give you a link to that here in a second. So don't worry about those, but those are your choices. We have a shoot 'em up. These are ones that are in the textbook. A shoot 'em up, a card game. A lot of people have mentioned getting into the 2D sprite tools. And this game also has some stuff on you doing XML for mobile devices. So that's an interesting option. The word game has some multi-processing capabilities built in, like spitting out some processes and starting others. The last one, the Dungeon Delver, might be a little too much. It's kind of a Legends of Zelda clone. So I'll give you guys a choice, and then I added another choice for a Unity tutorial on the tank game, if you would rather do that. Now, here's the days that we have left. Next week, we'll work on whatever development we've chosen. April 5th will be Skills USA State. So I'll be gone, Dylan will be gone, and everybody else will be here working on their group game project. So make sure you've chosen your group membership in Canvas, that you've gotten with some other people to decide that you want to be a group together. Because remember, with this group, you're going to choose your own teammates and no lone rangers, all the group people. So that'll give you an opportunity to have that whole almost 2.5 hours to work together to hash things out, decide what you want to create, get together to work on some basic prototype assets and get started. Now then the following week on the 12th, again, we'll have that opportunity to work a little bit with groups and a little bit on our chosen project. The week after that is our new spring holiday on Friday. So we'll have Thursday and Friday off that week, which is, like I said, new and awesome, kind of great. I think that is a big weekend. So the following week will be our group project presentations. They were set to be on this week of April 19th. So I moved those this morning to April 26th. That means that you only have a couple of weeks after that before that final on May 10th. So this is not to stress you out. This is just to show you that there's not a whole lot of time between now and the end, and just get an idea of where we need to be and what kind of stuff we have left to accomplish. So if you would bring up the group chat in the Zoom session, here is the URL to the Google form. It should let you get to that to fill it out real quick.
And then I'll just look at those results, and whatever the vote is, that's what we'll do. That'll work great. Oh, and I didn't leave a text field for any further comments. Go to, on Canvas, go to our homepage and click on the link that's the instructor one. And down at the very bottom is the link to our Zoom session. You find it? Now, I might have to post this URL again to the chat because I don't know if it shows up to you if you weren't in the session when I posted it. So.
When in the chat, by the time it was posted, the comment will not be shown.
Let me know when you get in there and I'll post it again.
I'm actually in the part where it says join the meeting. It's saying for a meeting ID or a personal link.
So did you go to Canvas to that instructor page and scroll down to the bottom and click on that meeting ID? Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, that's the meeting.
Yeah, that should be the meeting ID. Are you in now? Alex, it's just, I'm going to post that for you.
No.
This will be the one we're going over in class. So just what we're going over in class. And we'll make video, I'll have to make videos of this one too, because since we're hybrid, you know, we'll have some outside time. I know you guys have a lot of outside time already with your development. So we'll try to get through it.
Either the space or the dungeon.
Alex, are you there yet? Can you see that chat? Make sure everybody gets a chance there. Now that form, I'm not going to like take it down or anything right away. So it'll be open and up. You don't have to fill it out right at this exact second. I just wanted to get everybody's input. So that's how we'll do it. Do you have the URL? Oh, I mean to this Google form that I posted to the chat. Just get in there.
And on YouTube. But I don't think he uses YouTube. That would be the down part. But there are plenty of people who could actually show aspects of it using Unity.
Now we have a couple people absent today. Most everybody's here. You guys are doing a great job. Don't forget, since we just meet once a week, I'm getting emails and stuff for one person because this is the second week in a row he's been gone, so I'm going to have to administratively withdraw him. So don't forget, once a week, you can't miss twice. Too much. And then that means that we have more time for everybody else to present, though, so we should have enough time.
14 consecutive days.
14 days. If you missed twice in a row, you've been gone for 14 days after weekends.
Yeah.
So it can happen fast if you didn't even think about it. All right, I think that I have everybody's stuff, and I'm going to try to sit up here and watch your presentation instead of moving around like I normally do. That means where you are, where you're sitting, I want you to stand up, turn around, make eye contact with a few other people in the class, tell everybody who you are, and then you're going to start your presentation by sitting back down and controlling your laptop or whatever device you have to use. So just for your introduction. Remember, again, as always, focus on the positive thing. I know, we all know that you've been battling the bugs, the problems, and so those are the things that are in your mind. Those are not the first things you want to mention in your presentation, right? You want to mention, this is my idea, these are the best that I've had, and then you can slowly work into those problem areas, because we always want to make sure that those are less important. Now, the Zoom session is recording, but it won't record your voices, because the webcam is way too far away, but it will record your games, hopefully. So we'll see how that works out, if we're able to use it or not. So Rick had already asked to go first. Are you ready, sir? Let's see if we can get it to work. Now, as he starts, I'm going to set my alarm for I'm going to go 4 minutes for your talking part. I know that might be a little different than what we had posted, but we just are going to have to go a little bit faster.
So we'll set it for 4 minutes. If you have to keep talking to explain a point, do so.
And then we'll have some time for questions because our questions are just so important. So go ahead and take control. Can you, or do I still have it?
You have to unshare your screen and then
I still got it. Okay.
So today, I'm going to share first of all, I'm going to share a little bit on introduction to development of the visual studios. First question always is, what is Xamarin? It is a toolkit that's used to develop apps. It is a native apps for Android, iOS, and Windows. It uses a single shared database. So that does mean essentially you can write a single business logic and share across multiple interfaces, mobile operating systems, desktop operating systems alike. Accessing the iOS Android APIs through C#, we've got your shared logic and interface examples for iOS and Android APIs. So the thing is, you can write logic once, deploy once, and there's a lot of consequences for the development of it. Getting started. So the big question is, what do we do with security? We got to install Visual Studios, get the components that are directed at the following link. I can share this with you guys later if you want me to. I shared way too much. I wasn't going to show you how to do it using the installer for starting.
That's fine.
Note that the components alone only allow you to work because there's extra things that you need to do. You have to tools in order to debug iOS or like you'll install iOS and then you'll come with an actual installment of the toolkit. You'll have to connect your Windows to a Mac to run on the simulator required to have it. Very easy. If you do have a Mac, you can just install it to run it. As long as you have that code installed. Again, great resources there. Same kind of stuff. Android's a bit easier as long as you can install Xamarin, it'll eliminate any install with its SDK for you, and then you might have your special package that you install the box or set up other implementers you wish. Very flexible. So next we're jumping in. I've been installed this straight from Microsoft. You can see the source here. The mobile development cycle was some of the design develop the idea, stabilizes, make sure it works, and deploy. Lots of stuff here. Steps to creating it down. I can share these. These are basically me kind of recreating some of their steps. This is me using Visual Studios on Mac. There's instructions that as well. Basically, we go, we select that particular type of template. Then you can define the name, what it said, use your standard, and then do the same process questions. Choose your county, application version, follow your finish. There's also multiple places as a solution. There's a lot going on here. There's going to be 3 major components. Just as I want the Mac OS side, I'm doing just OS. That big top section here, that means the sheer logic that's going to have what's called Xamarin. You're going to use it as an extensive application markup language, similar to XML HTML. It's going to be deployed down to an application or a forward application. Part of this is then you're going to have your iOS logic, part of that you can write stuff that's native to those architectures, and it's nice because it's got like a C# implementation, so you can use that with just application. Same with iOS. This is a sharing our entry point. So basically, we have that XML so it initializes the entry point. Same with XML layout we have, and then just for teachers, it's nice to have help with that. The SDK is the native tool. First, we started the project, we wanted to restore the native steps, to also make sure that the all these things will correctly for you. I do have a lot of preparing this one.
Oh yeah, we want to see.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem. No, I cut you off too.
So,
Go for it.
basically, right in the background was all my app without the code or I have the thing ready. I'll just run it for you because there's a whole lot of let me this is what the civil looks like. Basically, I just create a basic application as a given button. These are examples, and this is right to Objective-C or Swift, which one they would use. Click here, and as you can tell, oh, there it goes. I got a lot going on in the background, so it's taking a few minutes. But that's the whole banner adjust. You can see as well on this side here. It as well has the file over Android, so that same thing. It's going to go ahead and if you guys are interested, I will share that with you. Not a big deal. Basically, the new thing here is we've got our main diagram now. These are the two components that we have. And our button text to give them a word with the more language. What's very similar to what we're doing. Then we have our actual comments now. This is going to be like a logic things that we do. And we have our code. That is
Code behind.
Code. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And basically, I checked out something here. What I set up was a button and there was a handle with it. And basically, just like students are, you guys have ever and there's a different all this is going to be exactly the same as the word as it's a C# all in front as well. So
Awesome.
basically, we got our different I've got the conflicts, and I changed the text and how it was like the previous written.
It's good.
That is my area. I will share whatever working on my house if you want. Like I don't know if you like to.
Well, let's stop there and talk about your awesome presentation. First of all, looks just like Unity in that C# code, didn't it? So with Unity, you could also generate your applications to run on multiple platforms. So there's a lot of similarities between the products, but yet a lot of differences. So there's a lot of strengths and weaknesses. Have you noticed any?
Yeah, Unity is it's really awesome. I think Microsoft is support. You got you'll find that they have a lot of UI stuff. You do this kind of thing. So if you really want to do Unity, you can pretty much just go around using this file that you want to just go to that application and do that.
Xamarin has like, I don't know, to me it's more like, it keeps the pieces a little bit more separate. It tries to.
It needs to have two separate packages so that when you go to actually deploy it, it specifically what the package does. I think it is like you just write the logic list, you've got the visual stuff, and then it's just being on the components that we dealing with and then you've got the vision dials, saving all of these. Those are actually included languages that have been written over with C# classes in order to include access to the OS data. So people may have logic everything. If you write it top, if you want to have super secure detailed OS, you can work with it. You can
Now with Xamarin though, you still have to have an Apple if you want to build an Apple project. So, but you can use Android. Yeah, Apple. Yeah.
And you have to have that developer license through Apple. It can be an old Mac.
Well, you could also
It could just be sitting out there on your network, just old. So they're going to make it where you can't just have that old Mac in the closet.
There's also virtual machines, so
That's,
and usually just an FYI, you have to have an Intel processor to even virtual machine a Mac. So
okay, awesome. Now, what he gave us was just really great, and it was kind of an opportunity for you guys to see what it's like to be at some sort of technical conference where you can go from session to session and just get a really fast blast overview of some technology that is new to you, and you can find out how interesting it is. Awesome. So give him a hand. That was really good. He presented everything for you. Okay, he was the only request. So do you want to go next, Alex? From right there?
go around the room.
Yeah, we'll go around the room. I think that will be easiest. I don't want to miss out our people in the back, but that's oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm testing my battery life. We'll see.
Yeah, we are short power in here.
It says it's good for 10 hours, but I also have it on high performance, so I highly doubt it. Probably 4.
I wonder. We need some wireless power. Guys, get that going. That's what I was thinking. I want that. Wireless power, we need it. We need it. Those electrons flying through there. Find your little toolbar for
Good to go.
okay. Now turn around and introduce yourself first. That's what we want. So everybody who you are.
My name is Alex Peterson, and I'm going to show you a really cool game. It's actually inspired by my father, and basically I the story board here. There we go. All right, here's the story of my game. Basically, there's this character, he's a chicken, and his name is Sanders. And he wants to eat seed and breadcrumbs. And then basically the whole story is that he goes to the city one eats seed and breadcrumbs. And then after lunch, he wants wants to head back to the barn. But in order to do that, he needs to cross through a multi-lane highway to get home. So your goal is, will you be able to make it to the barn?
All right.
Yeah. Simple and straightforward. All right, now let's get into the meeting.
So it doesn't have a preloaded.
Had to get to the city.
Do you have your preloaded?
I'll make sure it's full screen. All
I
right.
have to edit it to make it yellow.
All right. This is my main menu screen, where this is where you would exit the game. And this is where you play. And this, the arrow key, this is the left arrow key makes my character move left. The right arrow key makes my character move right. Down makes the move down, and there's constraints, meaning I can't go any further than off. I can't go further off the screen for each of these. And as you can see, I'm going to go to the right real quick. You can't go down off the screen. You can't go up off the screen. Basically, yeah, that's what I've been trying to figure out myself. I got the movements correct for my AI, and I got the and for the player, but
Nice.
I was just having trouble getting the collision to work properly.
Get hit by a car. Oh.
So, yeah, I have the.
They're both colliders.
Yeah, let me go check. Essentially, when I go to
Oop, beep, beep, beep. Sorry, I was using stopwatch instead of timer. But anyways, you're under question, so we're fine. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh. Yeah, basically within my player, and I will show the, you want to see the collider script that I have? Sure.
He's in the default layer, it says.
I think it might have to do with that. That's what I'm trying to, because the video I was watching that was going through this, he was, the guy was doing it in a different way, and I didn't know if I could do it without. The way I was doing it was trying to make my own colliders of code, in a way, from what he was doing in his example. I was trying to follow this person's example.
Had you found anything online on what the difference is between the is colliding method and the on collision method that we'd use?
But I think what I need to do, for next time, I'll just use a box collider or a sphere.
Oh, okay.
And it would have worked a lot better.
You can just check to see if this tag collided with that tag.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then put the code in.
Essentially, the code that would detect if it would go with chicken is to check if the place is safe or it's not safe. It was right here.
Ah.
Tag, you define the object with the tag there. I mean, I have the tag for the objects that are provided.
But your player doesn't have that tag.
Oh.
Tag your player.
You got it there. And I think that might be the collidable object on the player.
Yeah, it needs to be a collision. But at least make it tagged properly to see if it goes through your code then. And then if you add your collision collider.
Oh, I'll have the box colliding.
Try it. We hadn't used a box collider. It shouldn't be too much different. Should be about the same. Check your console and see if you got any messages. Since you have your vehicles set as collider objects and tagged that way. Looks like you're super close. Any other questions? I'd like to focus more on some of your 2D animation stuff. What did you do for your vehicles and things?
What I did for that, essentially what I did is I got the animation component. I went to the animation component, and for the car itself, I used two different animations for the cars. I had, this is the starting animation. This was the second one. Basically,
Cute.
it's the same for the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And for essentially what I did here is this would be the
Walking animation.
down. Left,
Really good.
right. Up. There we go.
Awesome. Give him a hand. Yay. Okay. Written? That is 2 years. Great job now. Everybody knows who to go to with animation questions, that's for sure. Is to click on that share and release it.
Stop sharing. Stop sharing.
Yes, share the whole desktop rather than just the screen.
Yeah, for you guys to be screen.
Nice.
So, today I have you so, should I share my storyboard as well?
It's totally up to you if you want
Well,
to.
basically, the story behind this, since I don't have the time ready, I mean, it's a few workers get more than every day, they take 5 jobs. Just you do the same problem, you go. I have a better idea of something from this actually go around. So they decide to spend their Monday with a slingshot instead to destroy these cars. And once you get that green, I call it hard, just to be more realistic. But once you get that, the same level of crushability is a pain, you move on to the next car. So I stuck pretty close to the other game.
It's got some really intense clouds. What's the other?
Mario clouds.
Cool. So what is that button?
So this button, you can change between show. This is show both. But something that I really didn't like is if you were to shoot the slingshot and then say the ball would get stuck like this, and until everything is done moving, you just get stuck on the ball like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes forever. And sometimes I thought that's not a good idea. One, because the user might think the game is frozen or and then just exit out because they don't have a lot of patience. So if you have that show castle, show button game, they can just manually switch between it.
Nice.
They can also see the castle, see where they want to shoot, and then speed up so they can get a better angle perspective on it. So yeah, that's my little game for it. Thank you.
Give him a hand. Any questions before we let him off the hook? Do you want to see his code for that button?
Yeah, I'd like to see the re-snapping those camera points.
Trying to get off the hook that easy.
User interface buttons. Click it, it's attached to the main camera here. Okay, my bad, it's actually going to do There's the command for install once you get that one. Switch gear. So you're just switching between follow cam and point interest.
Nice.
Nice.
It's good. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Really good.
How does the level keep track, by the way?
Levels?
Yeah.
Right. So the camera here, we have three bars. And I set the size of this array to 3, but each of my are prefabs inside of the array. And then once you hit this, goal here, that'll trigger it to restart at the next bar.
Nice.
Okay, great. Give him a hand now. Thank you. Let's go to Jay here.
All right, I'm Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Me personally, I didn't have a lot of time to spend on this. It was amazing as Spring Break sounds. But I did challenge myself, and I'm not screen sharing yet. Hold on. So my self-challenge was to create a game only using UI. So I'm in a 2D environment. It really wouldn't have mattered if I was in 2D or 3D. I like to do things like UI stuff in 2D just because I hate looking at the 3D horizon aspect. But anyways, so of course it has music. I feel like I can't have a game without music. It's too easy to put in there. It actually has the same soundtrack as my Space Invaders. And then I have voice. I don't know how to turn that off. But anyways, so these are actually just buttons. So like you hover over them, they shade out. And you click on them, you know it. And then of course, I didn't get to put in a reset or anything. And that's super annoying.
Echo.
There we go. Let's turn on mute. You can. Because I don't have any state changes. It does check, however, to make sure I can do this correctly here. So I'm going to try. There we go. Oh, well, I got some issues. I'm not sure how that worked. But Normally that would say scratch.
Or X.
Oh, it
Oh,
was,
was it
it was right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you won.
All right. Well, if you do all that, it'll say scratch. And then intentionally, or like initially, what I was gonna have was a reset where all these buttons, was kind of like they're all gonna rotate on their Z-axis. So it was like a wave, and they would all like rotate it over, which actually would have been fairly easy. But like I spent a lot of time messing around with animations, didn't have actually time to implement it. Because I also tried to make an active background, so this background you see here. So this is actually supposed to be a GIF. And I don't know if I can actually click on this. I think I can. If I open this, you can see how it has like bubbles and stuff. And apparently you need to have native GIF support where you can just drag and drop a GIF. And it used to have a built-in GIF to sprite converter, and I guess it doesn't now. So for this to work, I would have had to go into third-party stuff and just use the GIF. And all the GIF sprite converter does is it catches each frame and then it puts it into a sprite sheet for you.
Basically,
And then
an animation.
if I would have gotten that far, all I would have had to do was wherever in my Unity, this is actually on a panel. So right here, you see the source image. You could actually put sprites there, and it would have been an active background. So that's what I got.
Just because I'm interested, how do you implement sound?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't played with that.
Yeah.
And don't forget you're on a 2D environment, so you're not gonna have this. You have to rotate that environment.
Actually, it still has rotation Z.
It does.
It does.
Okay.
You may not have. You actually still have position Z, but it's more of layers at this point.
Yeah,
so you can bring things forward and back. But,
It's overlaps.
so last time on the Space Invader game, I did sound completely in script. This time, I let the built-in script or the built-in audio component control it. So I did it with my main camera. You can see this circle here is actually the audio. So one thing about this is if you had like a built-in map, and I don't know, like say like Skyrim, you know how like they have like voices for all the people who walk in the store and say something stupid.
With different tones for like a certain area.
Yeah, so you can put that circle just around their head, and then you can control how far your ears are to hear it. And that's part of like some of this stuff down here. And then all I did was drag up my file here and then play on awake and loop.
You just use the MP3.
You can use any audio format. Yeah, and I'm not actually sure. I don't even remember what format it is, to be honest. I have to open it up, but I'm pretty sure it is. You see it?
Yeah, it's, down toward the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I see it. So, yeah. And there's tons of websites out there. I also had a file for click noises. I didn't like it, so I didn't put it in there. And that's actually super easy too, because and I also did something different here. Normally I would have done the script for like each of my objects, but this time I only have one script. And it controls everything. But it's also a fairly simple project, so what takes all this crap?
Does it have you used it to do it?
No.
That's fine.
It's one of these.
Because my other computer crashed and then I moved the project over. So,
Oh, it's a brand new fast computer. It'll be super fast.
Yeah.
Go in .2 would be neat.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think got too nice. Put in mind with 3.
Mhm.
Have everything preloaded.
Oh, so this is my black theme. That's all right.
File name.
So you do have to be careful when using UI stuff because Unity Engine, I don't think, at least with mine, it didn't put this using theme here. So I had some issues like trying to manipulate those buttons and stuff, and trying to that's because I was for it. So, and I also didn't get to use this array. My initial thought was to use this array and call it an array. That's how I was going to say.
I would like that.
But then I didn't get to use it. So this is something new for me, and I don't know if this is a C# or Unity tool. So the only way I could actually pass this button to this button function was to use this keyword delegate, which I guess is C#'s way of doing a lambda expression. Or Unity. Which one is it? Is it
It's
C#?
C#.
Okay.
C#.
So I've never actually programmed in C#, just Java, Python, and C++. But I don't know if C++ does something similar or not. So, and then it's really simple. I probably would have been better off not putting this in the update, but rather putting like a function call in the update.
Yes.
Because I had some issues where every frame it would check to see if all these were equal, and if you didn't do anything when it played, it would just be like, oh hey, somebody won, because they were all in strings, and that's technically equal to each other.
Also, else ifs would help.
Well,
Have them all their own if statement. I think an else if might be better in this case.
I mean, what's the real difference between the if and else?
It will check every one on the if. You do else if, it won't check. It'll just go to the one that you need it to check. It'll only
One true versus many truths.
Yeah, how you have to set up, I'll check each and every one.
Depends on how many conditions you want to be true.
Yeah.
If there's only one true condition.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that chain these.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so then initially what happened is I did just check, but then I had to add all this stuff in here to see. And then really there's no way to shorten these checks, just because with the Unity stuff you have to, and especially with the buttons, the actual text field that you change in a button is it's like two children. So each button has a text object, which has a text
property.
So you actually have to go back just to be able to check it. So in theory, this would have been better with an actual object. But it was just kind of cool to see that I could
It's neat.
build something just using the UI.
Yeah, I like that.
So did you have to write any code?
Yeah, you still gotta do the code for logic. Yeah.
But also I kind of cheated on that as well, because if you notice in class, we get references to all these things, usually by script, and instead in my C# at the very top, all I did was create these, and I made them public so that way they could just be set by Unity. So the script relies on Unity now to make that relation. And when I was reading online, considerably bad practice, it works. But if you go to send your game to somebody else and it's already built, what can happen is they import your game, and then Unity has lost those references, and they would have to redrag everything. So if you imagine creating a big game
We've
like
seen that.
or something, you know, I could see that being a huge deal. So it's cool learning.
There's other little things like how we put the header on there. There's other ones like hide inspector and stuff like that. You can put on there, so you can hide in the inspector stuff in public, or you can make it private and still show up in the inspector.
Cool.
Awesome. Let's give him a hand. Yay.
Be careful if you just click on Unity, because then we won't be able to see Visual Studio.
Oh, then I don't.
We'll have to unshare and then do screen share.
Like share and put it on screen.
Optimize on full screen video.
I don't know about that. I've never seen that option.
Yeah, that should work.
Everybody loves whiteboard.
Oh, cool.
Hello, my name is Anthony Timon. I built a sci-fi tower defense based off every other tower defense you've ever seen in your life. I did follow a tutorial, but I have completely changed the game since then, and added a bunch of extra stuff.
Awesome.
Alright, so this is my main menu. In the main menu, it has what we call a scene fader built-in Unity function and add to it. And these are my old powers. They see moving, but I use the animator and I just move them back and forth. And I had to slow the animation down because it was crazy. And quit and play button, you can see it kind of move when you hover over it. So the script set up all my buttons to do that. And you hit play. It brings up another UI, you just select level. And this uses player preferences. I don't know if you know what like that is. It's a built-in saving function that Unity provides. Android provides it to you. You can call it preference. But it lets you store basic, simple variables. Like I use max level. So it'll store the max level on that user's computer. Now it does it per user, and at this point, it's only the user of the computer, so only one person. But if you, when you complete one level, it unlocks the next. So right now, I've only got one. So I can click on it, it brings up the level. You got your wave count down here. You get a wave timer in between. Now that timer will reset once this vehicle reaches the end point. Shows the level. I made on the point there. And you got your amount, you got your live. You can click those are these buttons. And then you click on them. So the click on one, you have a note highlight. So you can just click, use. Oh, now it's red. I'm out of money. And then they do the thing. When you kill something, you can click on one, brings up the thing. Now it's supposed to show right here something, but when you buy and sell upgrade, apparently I didn't want to show. Let's see. That did. But when you upgrade, it's supposed to show a line of you can sell, upgrade, these got own functionality.
It's amazing.
They've all got 4 different upgrades to them. So I can come out here. I did import. This is 2 gigs big. I've imported things and made and changed a lot. You got to be used to asset not facing the correct direction. Instead, the blue arrow would be what you want to look for. That would be facing the correct direction. That's the way they're going to move if you move forward. So you got to remember that. Sometimes you got to create an object, put them in that object, or the object on it, and create it the correct direction to move by the object. That's how my turrets fire. Let me bring up my prefabs. I got a lot of folders I made. So each one I can come in, I can, if it's a laser turret, I gotta check it right here. I can do the range, I can do what type of bullet prefab, the fire rate, that's per second. I can slow it down if it is the laser. The laser actually shoots clean games. I'll show you that in my minute. What else? You know my game manager.
In your assets.
Should be over there. Oh, I maybe. Maybe it does things. So your game manager, I set up the game manager, it's got a bunch of scripts on it, just an empty object that's down there. For your waves, you gotta erase it up. So you can put your raise in here, your number in there. You can set up each individual wave by your enemies. I got my different enemies. And then you can drag and drop them in. And then you can check how fast or how many you want, and then the rate is per second. And then you gotta create each individual wave, and on each level you can change that. It does Google effects, color effects. It got a time in between. I can change my money. I can change my start line. I can change all this, and it's all, you know, good, change every level. Right now I got 2 levels, that's level 1. So we'll say that's level 2 also. Okay, we got 2. That's level 2. This down set a bit different, and I'll show you some video of that. Any questions? Yes.
You said it started with real.
It's called Bracky on YouTube. It's 28 videos, about 20 to 28 minutes each video. Takes a while, and especially if you stop each video probably took me an hour and a half to get it, because I add and change everything. So it takes a while. Yeah, I spent a lot of time, but I learned so much from this right here. This taught me a lot of things. And the scripts. There's a lot of scripts. There is one thing that I want to show. So, something I learned, it's called an editor script. An editor script is different. If you see this right here, I made it. Right now, there's nothing in it, but I can do whatever I want. So, I'm going to change every object of type node in the game. I can do it here. I can put in functionality here that I change a lot while I play. So, and to do that, you just make an editor script, which uses the Unity editor and the editor window. But in order to use it, it has to be in the editor file folder in the asset. If it's not in the editor folder, it will not work. But yeah, you can build that, and then that will give you a window here and an extra functionality. You can even change the inspector. There's a lot you can do. Yeah, that's basically it. Oh, and let me do this. So in the game, you need to call the P button, or you can the stick button. You can continue, you try, it didn't work. What happened? Menu. Oh, I know why. Since I don't know about that, the buttons. It's on click and it's not set right now. But the same way you did it on click event on the last button is the same way. You set a file to it or the object to it and add the script you want, and then you set up the script. Any more questions?
How do you change scenes? I've been wondering that since Fingerwood Talents.
It's on like when they click that button for like when I level select. So if you click the button, it just goes to the next game. If not, on a completed level, after all enemies are destroyed and you still have lives left, you complete the level, it changes things. You just loading the next thing.
Unity is called Scene Manager.
Yeah, you use a scene manager as well.
Yeah, and you use the scene manager to do that. And you got to do what we've done. Is it manager or manager?
Scene management.
Okay.
Or
You have to make sure you import it.
Yes.
So
it is scene management. And to load the scene, you call something called .load scene.
You tell what scene, what
Yeah,
the
you
name
tell
of it
what
is.
scene.
yeah, you should be able to Google Scene Manager, and then it'll go to like a Unity man page, and it'll show you all the.
Like,
And it's in that castle. It's in that castle one.
I found a really useful video on that too.
Mhm.
I started
Uh-huh.
when I made that splash screen. It actually shows how that works. At least basically.
Okay.
If anyone needed to know.
Cool. More questions? Now, I have a question. How much are you going to charge everybody for access to your game?
My friend tested out, and he immediately found out the anger that he damaged. He was being shot for taking the damage. That was easy to fix, thankfully.
So maybe these guys will be beta testers for you or something if you want to give them a
Now.
'cause it looks great. Give him a hand. It's amazing.
I'm going to show you what it originally looked like.
Let me see.
That's what it originally looked like.
Oh my goodness, I think you made some improvements there. That is awesome.
And the tutorial looks different, and the bottom one looks different. He had basic stuff.
Wow.
Anything.
That's a great job. Really, really good. Okay, Dylan, you ready to go after that?
Yeah. All right, everyone, my name is Dylan Mueller, and I don't know if you remember, but a few years back, whenever you were in middle school, maybe into high school, heck, maybe you're even still playing it, but there was a game called Cookie Clicker, and everybody loves cookie games. You sit there, and tap, 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 and you tap some more. It just keeps you involved and engaged, and all you want to do is click on this cookie. So what I've got for you today is a clone for Cookie Clicker that I wanted to see if I could make it, and it utilizes some really cool input techniques. So like before in my first assignment and a couple of them did, you look for very specific input. You used input.get key, and then you look specifically for like the P key or right mouse click or left mouse click. And since I wanted to develop this and also be able to send it to Android, I can't just set it to, well, look for right mouse click, because a phone doesn't have a right mouse click. It has a touch input. So I'll show you some really cool ways to get some different inputs with my Cookie Clicker here. So we're going to get right into it. And I'm going to run it for you guys. Maybe. There we go. So we have the cookie right here. And whenever you click on it, it increments your counter by 1. And then I have a button down here that whenever you hit it, increases your counters. Now we're going up by 2. And then you hit it again, and you're going up by 4. And again, and you're going up by 8. And so on and so on. And it just keeps going up. And that's my prototype for the Cookie Clicker. A lot of ways we can go from there. But the really interesting thing that I wanted to show you was, how do we get the button to work? So first, on the main camera, you have to add this thing called a physics raycaster. And you can set it that event mask everything. That way, it's always looking for input. It's really, you can think of it like a laser pointer. So if you have a laser pointer and you point it at a wall, that the red dot appears. And so this raycaster is very similar. Wherever your mouse is, or wherever on a phone, it'd be wherever you touch. You can think of it like shooting a laser out, and if it interacts with something, then that object that it hits knows that, hey, I should run whatever script is attached. So you make sure that you attach this physics raycaster to your main camera, so it's looking at everything in your scene. Then on my cookie here, we add this thing called an event trigger script. And this is really interesting, because if you ever see like really basic intro programming that you might see maybe at the younger levels that they're trying to introduce somebody to programming, you kind of see like a drag and drop. Hey, here's this little snippet of code, and I would like to drag it and put it here. It's very similar with this and these event triggers, because you just tell it, hey, I want it to go on runtime, and then you drag and drop where you find in your scene here and assets. You just grab that script and attach it. And then whenever you attach that script, you can see any public methods that you've created. So in my case, it was total cookies or cookie clicked. And let's see, yeah, it's update total cookies. And same thing with this time I did a button. Total cookies is a text, just an increment. And then the button, it has its own on-click event. And you do the same thing. You just attach the button script and you tell it the method that you want to call. So real quick here,
really isn't much here. I just have a debug thing so I can know, hey, was the cookie clicked or not? Really helpful. For our total cookies, it just grabs the reference to that total cookies object, and then it parses it to a double, increases the value by whatever the click value is set to, and then sends it back so it displays it. And then the ×2 button is just total cookies times equals 2. Pretty simple. So
Now, didn't you generate that to Android?
yeah, so some really interesting things you can do there. From the start, I'm trying to get Android game. So first, in Unity, you have to go to Preferences here, and then External Tools. And you'll have to grab for Android, in this case, the SDK and the Java development kit. And you can actually hit download here, and it will take you to the web page. Now, I had some issues. If you go to the download for Java, that one works just fine. But I had issues with the Android SDK. That download just wouldn't work. It would always hang for some reason. So I ended up having to download the full Android Studio. And then whenever I came into this screen here and hit browse, it automatically knew, it's like, hey, your SDK is right there. I'm going to grab that for you. So you don't even have to like do any manual find wherever it put it. So it just grab it for you, which is really nice. But once you have those two tools, you can then come over here to build settings. You click on Android, and you have to make sure you hit the switch platform button right here, just to make sure that you're no longer building in PC, Mac, Linux. You're building for Android. And then there's a couple more things that you have to do. You want to go into player settings, and that opens up a window over here for us. And you have to, at the top, you have to enter a company name and a product name. So my company I always use is Dilco Inc. And then the product name is basically Clone. And then for some reason down here, all apps submitted to the Android store, you have to give your package a name, and then you use something called a reverse DNS styling, which is just your company name and then the name of the game. And that's what you put right here. And then version build, you just leave those alone, and Android will automatically up those every time you submit to their service to add to the store. And then from then on, you can just connect your Android phone, make sure it's in developer mode so that it has USB debugging, so that it allows you to just send apps if they're signed or not. And you hit build and run, and it will ask you, hey, where do you want to save the Android APK? And so the video that I watched on how to do it, or tutorial, said, well, whenever you do it, let me see if it will let me here. Okay, you'll want to make in your cookie clicker, add your assets, folders, builds, libraries, and stuff. You want to add this builds folder specifically to just hold your APKs and all the different versions you made. This way, if for some reason, say I make a version 3, and version 3 is corrupt, broken, something's just not working, you're able to roll back a version, and you have a working APK just above it. So it's really useful to have. And
Great.
I'll roll it out to questions now. I don't really have anything.
Is it on your phone?
On your phone?
Yeah.
Can you show it?
It'll be small.
We want to see.
Sure.
You know, actually, you can.
This is right here. You can see it. And it was where you can try to do. Oh,
Those are right down.
that's the best way that I found it, because you're no longer specifying a specific button.
Yeah.
It's just now wherever that input is, like that way.
There's an object in the way.
Yeah, and the object has a script attached to it to say, hey, there's something activating you. You can run the script, and so it works on the phone just by clicking.
So if you're going to send that to somebody, you just send the SDK file. You can just take the APK that you find and install it as long as you're in download.
The SDK is your Android version that's running on the phone.
Yeah.
The SDK is the file that downloads the program.
Yeah, the SDK is just kind of like what the Unity engine is for your kids. It just tells it, it attaches a version. And I mean,
it's so much nicer than Apple's is, because with Apple you have to like go physically take your device, associate it with the developer portal, then you have to go sign the physical app. You still have to do the reverse DNS on their side. You used to be able to fake the signature, but they can't do it.
Let's give him a hand. Yay, Dylan. He created, again, a simple app that did some exploring and got it on my Android platform, which worked out really good with Rick's showing a exam run. So notice that as you get more experience, what is beneficial for you is to be able to notice similarities in these different products and notice differences in the different products. This is like you can talk about it intelligently with other people, and that's a really big deal. And kind of to be able to pay for what you let you use for a certain project. So with Rick's project for the capstone, he's going to access databases and back-end things that are not necessarily Unity strengths. Where we saw Unity strengths, this one we need more of the front end, the graphical stuff. But you can still do those back-end things. A little bit more work, but lots of great stuff. I love it. Isaac, is it working? We'll help you if it's not.
So,
Hey, Isaac.
well, the only real difference is, well, one of the main differences is like the colors, but that's about it. So we've got the more things that so you cast a slingshot, sit in on the projectile. For that, I couldn't actually figure out like how to use but also I could get the projectile
Watch that awesome video I put out there for you last week or whatever.
yeah, that's kind of how I got the fun.
It's a bad video.
Yeah. So there's that. I haven't actually been able to reach the goal at all. So I have to move more than that part works.
A little far away.
Slant, we should be able to.
Had to do some other things, huh? Instead of it being green all the way.
That you'll be able to hit this side piece rather than just that.
So he was fighting with that thing, huh? I'll be glad when you can create another one. Now I know you guys are running into time constraints, but remember, it's your opportunity here. Take the time while you have the opportunity. Looks good. Anything else you want to show us? Not too much. Looks great. Give him a hand. I'm going to write that down. Before we go to our back row, why don't you guys take a break? I think we have time. When we're watching things like, oh, and we want to take a break before, or are you ready to go, or do you want them after a break? Take a break? Okay. About, come back at like 9:25 so we can see David's big awesomeness here.
Don't worry, I had to delete the map that I spent 4 days working on. So I've only got a few sprites, a few characters, a bunch of
Looks very
maps.
pretty though. More collisions, huh? Yes, sir. Okay, so wait, you're gonna have to show them what you passed. Let's go with it that way. Make sure you get something turned in. We're out of time. So, doesn't matter. That's just the way it is. So get it turned in. That's fine. Thank you, sir. You do a great job. We'll handle it.
I mean, there was a guy was watching, so he was trying to do that without a player. Yeah. He must have done something that would be way low. So if mine was a lot,
Oh.
Just felt like that. So it was yeah. Within the player. So if it's not just this is just for me. So I changed from I don't necessarily have the user. I wanted to see if it's relatively because I do remember it. It's just sometimes my memory is
Question for you.
Sure.
On my particular project, how do I turn mine in for you? You want me to do like my presentation as the storyboard and then my like example as the game?
I'll just do a storyboard of your example.
Just do storyboard.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just upload that whole just upload the whole thing. Yeah, I mean
that's fine. Or you can push it to GitHub.
Okay.
Just post it to GitHub.
Oh yeah, that's true. I can do that.
So yeah, and kind of like Anthony's document, his one-page overview. That's all it is. So just quick exam on those kinds of things, but it can be short and sweet.
Okay. Because I didn't do the last one by accident. It just flew past me, and I got on. It's like, oh my god, and then I was like, it'll be okay. I'm gonna do everything else. As long as I pass, I'm good.
So don't be coming. That's the big thing. So, yeah, I think that it's nice to have it in project-based class, but then that means the ones that are so
I just
kind of a
totally
pain.
Not been prepared that first time.
Well, and the weather was really a problem for us with that first one.
Honestly, the hardest.
We had missed things and stuff like that. I need to change it to not be my Yahoo. I wanted to see if I could find.
No, wrong button.
Resetting for VR. Resetting for VR. Game pads. Mouse input. Jump.
He just started a guild. I don't know if we can listen to our
And
presentation.
then movement input.
Andrew's former student.
Yes.
So he was an intern at Garmin for like 2 or 3 summers, and now he works at Yelp. He's done a couple of games. So I was hoping that
Here
he
is
could
my
watch in
slider box.
our demos, and then another former student that does games. So that'll be our big one.
All it takes.
Oh yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Target into
Really good overview. Now I've seen a lot of Xamarin, so I might have understood it more than they did, but I thought it was great. Here's some jobs, you guys. I looked at Monster. I didn't get on Glassdoor because they kept wanting me to log in. Yeah, Monster has some. A lot of Unity jobs in California. California. Yeah. There is one that, let's see, this one's in Maryland.
Okay, now you just need to make the target.
Oh, they want casino game programming.
So yeah.
Here's the one for you, Anthony. San Diego, 100 to 145,000. I know, it costs that much to live there. Still be a good salary though, even there. But they want a bachelor's degree. Yeah, and San Diego's super crowded. And I don't know if there's any other. There's one in
So it's hard to say.
Washington.
I like how they just like teach you how to do this. Go straight through.
The basics with Unreal Engine, yes. It's me.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live in California. Like maybe parts that aren't so crowded. I think there are some.
Yeah, how to use that tool.
Here's what, this one is a technical artist though,
Simple as
for Unity and
right?
Maya. It's in Redmond. So again, crowded, but you can get out of town real easy.
And then on the actual tool, you can move around a heck of a lot easier. Change the depth and visual left and right rotation. Left mouse, right mouse, you can move around, hold them both.
So are you guys gonna help him fix it? Oh, that's okay. We'll have him show everybody, and everybody can help him. Tell him he can just show them, because that's part of what we want to do with our demonstrations. No big deal. Okay, are we ready? Everybody ready to see this? It actually looks very pretty. I feel like we should turn the lights off or something. Somebody in the back, can you hit those lights? Because we got to see this purple thing. What is she? I didn't want to say any words and be implying bad things.
So I am David Vert, and instead of playing with Unity, I decided to use something a little different, Unreal Engine. And I'll show you how simple this project turned out to be and how decent it looks. So as far as these morph targets go, I've made them very slight so you won't be able to really tell the ankles and knees. But you should be able to see the chest puffing in and out. I should have made some for the face and stuff, but I got carried away with creating a map and all the functionality and playing with the sprites, as you can see on her hands. And another cool thing is, not only that, they run all on the same skeleton. So all I have to do is just change up which of these meshes I'm playing around with to be able to see the slight changes, the edits. I did not get too far into the actual free build aspect of where you can completely create your own character, but I did implement a few changes, but for the most part, you're just changing your overall appearance. The hairstyles are a pain to play with. And then whenever you start, I have it rerouted to start this again, and opens up another instance and opens up this world. And so some of the stuff to fight with is the camera. And some of the script made easy. What you're seeing on screen is here. Knee, shoulder, ankle, those are the morph target selectors, and Unreal Engine allows you to grab from -1 to 1 with Blender and Blender S. Their morph targets are normally scaled from your original character at 0, and you'd copy that character over, paste them over to the side, make your edits, and that would be your 1 value for that morph target. And then you'd be able to free verse in between there. So you can make them really fat or you can make them really skinny. And with Unreal Engine, it does the reverse whenever you're going to the negative scale. It allows you to subtract if you were to add. That way you can make your character scale thinner than what you have a morph target for. And I've got these all on separate morph targets, so I had to grab each of them individually. And a little bit of the functionality for the slider is casting it to free roam, setting up the game instance, and starting the game. Then we've got all this mess of actually showing and creating each of these sliders. And all this slider is a text block and the actual slider itself. But the real functionality of it is grabbing both the left and right morph targets and changing them both at once. One downside is changing the variable from text over to a string and then having to change that string off to a name value, which then you can use your morph target as your morph target name, which is the first thing you actually grab. But that's where you're able to actually edit it. And this is what affects the slider when the slider
So why
changes.
don't you explain, David, whenever you're looking at the screen, that this is Unreal Engine, right?
Yep.
The game development tool. Let's back up just a little bit and tell people what you're using. What are you looking at here? What is this called?
This is a blueprint,
Thank you.
explicitly a widget. This widget is for a screen viewer, so to speak, or what is Canvas, I believe is what Unity calls it, or Canopy, one of the two. And so this is what's actually being displayed. And on value change is just a preset function that returns the value at which the slider, if I remember where the slider changes. Each slider has their own. And this is just a placeholder that is being set for each of these.
Okay. Well, how do you get the morph target?
That is created in your Blender or Blender S, your character creator. When you create the character, you basically copy that whole character, move them over to the side or that section of the character, and then you just change a few of the aspects. Like you wanted cheek puffs to be really bloated out, or wanted a smile or frown. You just copy that object, make a reference to it off to the side, and then edit what you wanted it to look like, but you'll want to make sure you don't delete anything from it, or else it won't have the same counter. And if those counter numbers are off, then you have a major problem with trying to fix it. And so, after getting this updated, as simple as this part is, then you have all your buttons, which just changes the selected mesh to the new mesh, and then these are each of my different meshes I've got. And here's each button. I probably should have named the buttons rather than using default variables. And that just gets the class, the actor, which is the actual person itself. And then here's where I open the new world, but I have it on the initial world that it starts off on.
So do you have to do any coding on this? Just write the code in the background as you like select the on-click event or whatever variable.
This is these little placeholders like get the mesh, cast to reroam. Reroam is a variable I created for the actual game, but I cut that out. And these are basically pre-scripted, and so you won't have to do too much coding unless you want to get further in depth into the details.
Where do you open the code at? Where is it at?
This is the code.
That's it. You can't go and write the right.
You can add scripts to it. It's just that I didn't need to for doing this, unless I wanted to make a complex algorithm and didn't want to go through this path and wanted to do it 100% with C++ or install a plugin for a different language.
How are you adding these?
These are just this is actually the third person character itself, which is the skeleton. If I close this, you're seeing this person, and as hard as it is to navigate, if I can. Move back a little bit so you can actually see the face. The character itself is what I edited for this part, which is where I got had to change around the inputs. That way it is compatible with the 3 platforms: computer, Xbox, PC, PlayStation 4, and it is VR capable, but I'm not sure if it'll actually grab the body holder itself because I have not been able to practice or experiment with actually viewing it.
Any other questions for him?
Is that the same as, is that what they call your visual scripting or
That's their visual scripting.
and then users, whatever, when you work in Unity, there's a plan where you have here.
Oh, really? To Unity? It can get very messy.
Yeah, as you can tell, some of the lines
Yeah,
can't.
it's really. I gotta say, not something I want to teach. I mean, you know, we think we have a lot of pieces of things in Unity, but oh my goodness. Yeah, because of it, but it's well, I think it's a lot easier to get started
Pretty
because you
simple.
can
It's
put some
just
stuff
trying
out
to keep
there.
everything straight. Like with this, I've got everything going all haywire, but there is color codes for each different variable types, what they do, and it can be a mess at times.
It's important to stay organized.
Yes. With
Yeah,
how you do
wouldn't
this,
it? That's why I can't.
placeholders around to make it better visual representation. Yes, you can list, like where I put here, I put that, and if I want to go to comment text and movement text, comment folder, enter, and then whenever I go around it, you can put folders. I just got tired of doing it.
So you put your comments then right there, so you know what's going on?
Yep. That way you can tell what it's doing. You can put a box around it. Font size, you can change that, scale that around. You can move it as a regular comment or a group movement, which is what that. And if I were to just select these real quick, go to right click, create comment from section. That's as hard as it is. This is
Cool.
I'm already like, I need to move this over there.
Right, right.
It is really good to
and
get
now you can see that that segment is for the initial game mode, the character
I feel like
create,
it's cheating.
and it has all of them encapsulated in a box. Makes it easier to visually tell what it's doing, and you can add your own comments. You can edit the size, make it easier. You can put a header if you wanted to. That way it
Okay, give him a hand. We got to see our other people's. We're gonna great job. While
I didn't even get to show the sprites.
I know you got so much. Everybody's gonna have to look at it later. I found just a really fast, if you search Unity versus Unreal Engine, and Cryengine is another big one that a lot of people are always arguing about. This one kind of summarizes it the best way, which is what it always comes down to when you're deciding which software to use. It depends on what you want to do and what you've got and what capabilities you have. But this person says their personal preference would be for super 3D environments would be Unreal. And if they're doing 2D or mobile games, they said they would choose Unity. So of course there would be different reasons for those choices, and you might make a different choice. But it's great to know that you have all these tools available. Yes, sir?
And cross-platform is extremely easy with Unreal because on the starter, when you create the project, you can make it for console/desktop, which is the three main keys, or you can do it for tablets, iPhones, and that genre.
Awesome.
And you can have it as a scalable 3D to 2D, which is what I use for making it to where it can scale easier, or you could use maximum quality, which would then limit the amount of people who could use it depending on their software, and also cause faster FPS. But
they're always leapfrogging each other.
It runs a steady 60 FPS with about a 16 ms.
We'll see what Google's setting it as. Yeah, for real.
Martin, are you going to show us yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take this thing over. Let's do it.
My name is Martin. This is actually the first presentation that I was actually doing.
Yay, good job.
Forward.
He's here.
Who's got kicked?
So the only game I have is the mission demolition thing that we've been doing in class. With a lot of major and minor setbacks, I was able to get rid of the pilot error. So this is what I have. If you continue with this long enough, you eventually get a mountain of purple mold and a large circle around your slingshot.
As you can see.
And also, something that you may or may not see. I completely knocked over the castle.
Camera follow, not quite there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big old cloud. See, that's what always happens to me. It's one big giant cloud, isn't it? So he's getting there. Lots of pieces.
How much marshmallow I like in my hot chocolate?
Yep.
Questions for him? No questions.
How are they shiny?
Give him a hand. Yay! Less than painful. Okay, Edward, how about yours?
Oh, where's my screen orientation? Is it not? Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
It's good.
And this is what I got so far. It's essentially the slingshot game.
Like the feather bang gonna produce acid rain.
Possible for the camera to move with them. You have to get as many balls as possible off the platform because they're diseased. If that makes sense.
Where's the castle?
I didn't know it yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So that's why they're disease balls, huh? Okay.
That's it.
Give him a hand. And then Tyler.
Oh, I forgot to tell the point of the story. Time.
I'm Tyler,
Hey, Tyler.
and this is basically the project.
Revamp.
I made it for the, you can move the fast wherever you want on the screen, and because I have a problem where shooting animals instead of drawing the phone. And I have to figure out a way to the other basket
That's
because for some reason, so it's fine. Directly the basket that it doesn't have mouse right now. Yeah, it was all basket. It was on creating basket and later, and it used to work like 300 times out. And then just so did you keep your mouse just right on the tree then? Yeah. Just fall on the tree.
cheater.
Yeah. Later on, I'm gonna have your do that.
How did you get the mouse, the thing called your mouse? Did you do by object roll, screen over, mouse roll, screen?
Yeah, I just did that. Okay, so you know how you got the platform moved down here. So, well, I did the same thing with that except for on the Y coordinates. So that would just be baskets, right?
And then you can open the space. Here's a basket that we got the extra coordinates.
Yeah, so right here.
That looks different.
So I came from the mouse position X and the exact same thing with Y. And it just continuously running for just follow your mouse. If you go, there is a weird little thing, if you go too fast over the apple, that it doesn't actually touch the apple. And it just goes through it.
And his laptop is a little bit older, so sometimes he's being able to create the kind of issue you have on an older machine where he can't really generate 60 frames in a second. And so we lose some fragments off the screen as it's being generated, and that could have an impact on that too. So actually, Tyler's laptop is a really good one for us to use to test at a game that's really high resource intensive to see what kind of impact running it on an older machine would have. So, because it's not like super old, but it's just as he adds more graphical components, it's having a hard time generating 60 frames in a second. So, slow down. Give him a hand. He's been fighting with that alpha picker. He has beat it into submission.
Does it usually have a checker, so when you type in the game, show the 50%?
Not sure. I'm sure there is something. Mm-hmm. Aaron, did you want to show us something?
Yes.
Aaron, are you showing us something? Okay. What about you, Alan? Okay, we want to see it.
So we have 2 players currently.
Yay. Hey, Alan.
Right now, I'm just doing the basic development stuff. So I'm just getting set up over here with and getting it working with the basic program. And that's kind of all I'm doing. There, because I see it not really.
Now we can help you with that one a little bit. Notice how your on-mouse exit and on-mouse enter methods have red squigglies?
Yeah, that's what I've been trying.
That's because there's 2 of them. There's another set of them down there at the bottom. So you got to get rid of one set of those. Yeah, I would actually get rid of that whole top partial class. So from that word public partial class, start selecting that line. Yeah, get that whole line.
Start from public and go down to where the next one references.
Yep. Start there.
And stop at the second public. All the way down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's here.
And then get rid of that partial class. Make it just say public class instead of public partial class. Now see if you can run it.
Also, you got us back around the class. You got right up above and below the class.
Just get rid of that namespace statement completely.
That was.
Yeah,
It
it is. Uh-huh.
Remember C++ doing like using namespace standard, but
And Ellen, it did that because of it being opened in Visual Studio first, just as you were figuring out how to get that editor going. So if you always double click in Unity to create those scripts, then it won't add that namespace statement you have to worry about. So do a save now there in Visual Studio. Save all, and now go back to Unity and you should hopefully be able to run it. There we go. So that first projectile just sort of dropped off the table, which is okay, because it's getting there. It's making great progress. Remember, We're still just learning barely loops in Python. So yay, good job. So many pieces to put together. You guys are at such different experience levels. It definitely shows. Good job. Keep on it.
Questions, jump on that CIS220 Slack, because like I have it on my phone and stuff, and I'm always looking at
Yeah, get on Slack.
posts, so
Help each other. Help each other.
you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
to look at Jay's GitHub, he's got the non-disclosure agreement. Okay, Isaac, what do you got back there?
Interesting.
So, the point of mine is you're in a big box and you have a lot of, I just named levels of platforms, and the goal is to get out of the box and if you follow along the world point negative 5 y, then you just respond to
I don't want to be politically incorrect, but it's a game for flat earthers, isn't it? Fall off the edge.
Oh, that's cool. There's just no slingshot there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
This is ball red. That's awesome. That's Spider-Man. Yeah. Oh, that's a double jump. Oh, that's cool. Ah, cool.
So, I just have it all in one script. And starting with the position of where you started, and then along the work but I don't know, I think they're actually sort of a halo. And for some reason, I thought I said it to the raise. I think it was 3, but it's still like little kind of halo around the cover with a little sphere. So, but I'm not down. I just want to and equals 0, and that's sort of evolution. But all equals 0 and be for the evolution. And if you are aiming, this is for if you get out of the box and you follow the -5, then it'll reset your position. This one is if you're aiming at this.
Forgot this.
And will tell these and then just for the maximum being how far out you can actually pull. And then when you release it, the schematic and the pulls and then the velocity back. But the way I think the schematic because the problem is when you hit the object, if you have the oscillation determined is kinematic, for some reason like it will go somewhere like the object that you hit and then stop. So then we gotta launch it again. I had to turn it kinematic I think that this year, I remember, but so pretty much what I did was the call collision, the shelter collision, that counter, every time you pull it back, it gets set equal to 0. So it is a one, so it can fly to the object and just set up the already at least once, and then it will move after it collides with something that happens to it. So usually the first collision is the object touching already, and then the second one will be the object they actually want to stick to. Sometimes it doesn't collide with the first object, so that's why sometimes it just bounces and collides with something. But, and then this right here, this is the check box for the public game object or the public here. You can set it. I was trying to make the button, but I didn't think about it until they so basically you can just choose whether or not you want to stick to things that
Be great option. Questions for him?
So I want you to go and get when you guys do and start with comments on your stuff now, so that we get used to it and don't have to do it anyway. And if you start with values, you feel by the time you're done with it, it's just handling. People can easily read your stuff.
Great. I love it. Very nice. Okay, Joe. Over there, right? Hiding.
Oh. Joey, and yeah, I'm planning on making. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with the on my computer when I get a file where I want to. But I built a character that would be an archer, and then you instantiate the out, fill the zone, and then shoot back. So I got my player movement with the WASD. That's pretty jumping into that. And then I can click the instantiate arrows. I just got the movement working, but it's moving with the axis, so it flies away. But that's not how it's having trouble with Unity.
We got everything moving. That's good. After that, it's just my moving with the production. Like more.
The only thing with arrows is I couldn't get them to spawn on the character, shoot from it. They spawn out in the air.
We can set a point on a character, like blank empty object, and then call it like a spawn point, and make it a colored variable, and then you can even drag that, make the arrow prepad, drag it over to it, and like that one, then it'll spawn there.
Yeah, I just put them a little like that, put the layer, and I set it as the position for the arrow spawn.
Yeah.
Right here. But, they're not there.
Do you have your first game available? Uh-huh.
Like the one we turned them on?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Can you show it to us? Because you didn't get a chance to show us that one, did you? I think that was a snow day. I'd like for you to show everybody that one.
This is your first team.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just
Yeah, is that link in Unity good from the last time you'd opened it?
Yeah, everything should be.
Yeah, it might not be there. Might not be the right one if it's like mine. The last time I checked it.
Hold on. I don't use all my computing power possible in these thin clients.
There we go.
Yeah, so I didn't actually use the jumping on this one like I planned to, but all it is you run down the lane, you have to avoid the blocks.
Nah.
Nice.
Isn't that awesome?
And then I just use the repack to make the blocks there.
Now, what's moving? You or the map?
On this one, move character, but if you want to make it infinite, where it just keeps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't have a lot of scripts, but yeah.
And that's relatively easy because you just have like a, you can use the time variable in Unity and be like, oh, after 60 seconds, increase speed by 0.1. So it'd be dope.
Oh, you're doing fun stuff then. What are you doing there as far as changing the, what are you adding based on time? More force?
Oh, yeah.
So when I push the key, it goes further?
And then you can like put our SD and slide it to the left or right.
I like that one. That was very good. Give him a hand. Good job. Yay, Joey. You guys did it. Got them all done.
Is that everyone?
That's everybody.
Okay.
I'm going to end this thing.